is Kendra Sanders, and my co-facilitation topic was on racial identity. So what is racial identity? Racial identity, it is the significance and meaning that African Americans place on race in defining themselves. There is variability in the significance and qualitative meaning that they attribute to being a member of the Black racial group. For instance, some individuals place little significance on race in defining who they are, while others may see their racial membership as a defining characteristic in their self-concept. Even when individuals place similarly high levels of significance on race in defining themselves, they may differ a great deal in what they believe it means to be Black. One person may believe that being Black means hanging out with other Blacks, while someone else may believe being Black means that one should integrate with whites. In this article I read, written by Dr. Sellers, he began by talking about the history of the psychology of African Americans. As a result of our experiences with oppression in this society, the concept of race has historically played a major role in the lives of African Americans. In this history, the self-hatred hypothesis emerges as important. It is based on the idea of how we feel about ourselves, is based on how others feel about our racial group. Early work with this hypothesis attempted to show that African Americans suffer from low self-esteem. The 1947 Clark and Clark doll studies are a good example of this. In this study, 2 dolls, one Black, one white, were used to examine Black children's view on skin tone. And the children basically attributed all positive traits to the white doll and all negative ones to the Black doll. Sellers set out to discredit the findings of that study by suggesting the actual results may have been at chance levels of preference for one doll over the other. More recent work has focused on measuring self-esteem directly. This has also failed. Dr. Sellers argued that if we want to understand the psychology of African Americans, we must look closely at how African Americans think about race. To accomplish this, researchers have developed the Multidimensional Model of Racial Identity, or the MMRI. This operates on the assumption of stable traits, situational dynamics, and a model must fit with the broader notion of self. The MMRI represents a synthesis of ideas from many existing models of African American racial identity. It is concerned with both the significance the individual places on race in defining themselves and the individual's interpretation of what it means to be Black. The MMRI proposes 4 dimensions of racial identity in African Americans: the salience of identity, the centrality of the identity, the ideology associated with the identity, and the regard in which the person holds African Americans. The first 2 dimensions address the significance of race in this individual's self-definition. The second 2 dimensions address the qualitative meanings that the individual ascribes to being Black. Racial salience refers to the extent to which a person's race is a relevant part of their self-concept at a particular moment in time. It is the mediating process between the more stable characteristics of identity and the ways individuals construe and behave in specific situations. For example, being the only African American in an all-white school may make race more salient to that person, while it may not bother someone else. The centrality dimension of racial identity refers to the extent to which a person normatively defines themselves with regard to race. It is an indicator of whether race is a core part of an individual's concept, their self-concept. The third dimension of racial identity, ideology, is the individual's beliefs, opinions, and attributes with respect to the way they feel Black people should act. This dimension represents the person's philosophy about the ways in which African Americans should live and interact with society. Four ideologies are proposed. A nationalist philosophy, characterized by a viewpoint that emphasizes the uniqueness of being of African descent. An oppressed minority philosophy, characterized by a viewpoint that emphasizes the similarities between African Americans and other oppressed groups. An assimilation philosophy, characterized by a viewpoint that emphasizes the similarities between African Americans and the rest of society. And the last is a humanist philosophy, which is characterized by a viewpoint that emphasizes the commonalities amongst all humans. Although some individuals can be categorized as possessing one ideology predominantly, but it's likely that most people hold a variety of ideological philosophies that vary across areas of functioning. The fourth dimension, regard, refers to a person's effective and evaluative judgment of their race. The regard dimension consists of private and a public component. Private regard refers to the extent to which individuals feel positively or negatively towards African Americans and their membership in that group. And on the other hand, public regard refers to the extent to which individuals feel that others view African Americans positively or negatively. The MMRI results that Dr. Sellers obtained led him to draft a new inventory, the Multidimensional Inventory of Black Identity, which is also called the MIBI. It's a 56-item scale with subscales corresponding to the dimensions of the MMRI. Some of the questions that were addressed by the MIBI are what differences are there between predominantly Black schools and predominantly white schools? Is centrality associated with alcohol use? Is centrality related to GPA? And do the dimensions of the MMRI predict support for affirmative action? To answer these questions, Dr. Sellers administered the MIBI to 474 African American students at schools in the Midwest. His findings showed that while centrality was not clearly related to alcohol use nor GPA, assimilationalist and nationalist ideologies are negatively related to GPA. Centrality is positively related to support affirmative action. Thank you.